Yeah. I don't know. Do we use our intuition? I don't know. Or maybe the ghosts feel more comfortable with the chat.
Okay. Namaste, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this gentle flow. It's going to be a little different of a gentle flow than what I normally do on Mondays. Mondays, we actually normally flow. And on Wednesdays, we usually do gentle / restorative. Today is going to be a little flow, a little yin, a little restorative, kind of all blended together. And the subject matter is the third eye. So what I've been doing in this series is talking about chakras. And the chakras are the wheels of life force energy. Generally speaking, we're going to work through 7 of those that start at the base of the spine. That's the first. And then it moves up to the 7th at the crown of the head. We've been spending an entire week on each chakra because there's so much information. They govern certain things physically in the body. They govern certain things emotionally, psychologically, and there are spiritual lessons within each. We talked about the first 3 being more about kind of our physical existence, this physical plane, what we're trying to manifest. We talked about the heart center being the integrator, the place of harmony and balance, where the masculine and the feminine meet, where matter and spirit meet and blend. We moved up to the throat chakra last week, which is about our voice, speaking our truth, having the right to be heard, and deep inner listening. We're in it being a coordinate passageway, a bridge between the mind and the heart and the mind and the body. Okay, I'm being very brief here. This week, it's all about the 6th chakra, and this is one of my favorite ones. It is considered the third eye. Okay, we talked about the elements that go with each of the chakra. Earth with the first, water with the second, fire with the third, air with the fourth, ether or sound and vibration with the 5th, and here for the 6th, the element that we're going to consider is light. Okay, think about the light of our awareness. So the third eye is about unlock awareness. It's called the ajna center, and ajna means to perceive. So when we look at the third eye, this is about how are we perceiving things? What is our perspective of things? And understanding we all have filters, we all have certain lenses that we're looking through. According to our opinions, according to our beliefs, according to our programming, according to our conditioning, according to our life experiences, according to our own innate wisdom. That's why we're all so different, and that's why we have so many different viewpoints in the world. So if we want to see more clearly, we need to activate and stimulate the third eye. So the third eye is considered the brow, but it's not the forehead, okay? What lies beyond or behind the forehead is the prefrontal lobe of the brain. And the prefrontal lobe of the brain is something that's been studied in science with meditators. Because when we meditate, we're stimulating the pineal gland. The pineal gland goes to the third eye. Okay, so if the prefrontal lobe of the brain is getting stimulated during the meditation process, it has actually been studied and measured. And it shows that this part of the brain lights up more than other people who don't meditate. And a piece of this part of the brain that lights up can help us to develop a deeper state of compassion. Think about how, okay, I'm going to deter a little bit, but think about the things that we see and watch as entertainment. And think about how desensitized we have become as a result of that. Things like violence and rape and, you know, these things that we somehow watch for entertainment, and yet we've become desensitized. We've become desensitized to the news, even to the natural disasters. There's floods here, there's floods there, there's fires here, there's fires there. And it's like we hear it and I mean, first of all, we're not in control of it. There's not a lot we can do about it. However, we should still be able to draw at that compassion. And lots of times we don't even feel it. And so to develop that deep state of compassion for ourselves, for others, for the humanity, for the planet, for the world at large, we need to develop the third eye. Think about even what Jesus said it's written in the Bible, and I believe he did say this. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled with light. I believe that was a quote from him. And I believe he was talking about the third eye. The element is light. Think about when the light is turned on. Think about Yogi Bhajan used to say, not using your intuition is like driving a car and never using your side or rear view mirrors. Only looking straight ahead. Consider how, if it means to perceive, the perception that we're trying to gain from activating and stimulating the third eye is to be able to see very clearly our patterns. Our patterns, our habits, our behaviors in thoughts, words, and actions. Science shows that there's neuron paths that are created in the brain when we repeat something. And 90% of our thoughts are on repeat every day. Have you noticed? We have the same worry, we have the same stress, we have the same triggers, we have the same emotional responses. And so the kind of point of the third eye is to be able to see this clearly, to see what our patterns are, and to see whether it's helpful or hurtful, to see if it's positive or negative, to see how we can notice the patterns of yesterday are creating our present. And if we don't change or create new choices, it's going to be very predictable in our future. So if we're wanting to evolve and transform and grow, it requires looking back in the past, being able to perceive the pattern, being able to see what's happening in the present, and to make new choices in the present in order to create and to manifest what we want. If we want the vision to match what we see, for ourselves in the future, we have to see if we're playing it out in the present moment. So the third eye is about intuition, imagination, insight, perception, seeing the big pictures of things, seeing the different angles of things. And that's where we're kind of stuck right now, right? We kind of get stuck in our own viewpoint and our own opinion and our own belief. But what if we cleanse the lens and we take off the filters and we start actually listening to everybody else's viewpoint, understanding our viewpoint, and seeing if we can collaborate. The only way to move to unity and to supreme wisdom is to move through the third eye area. So we're all kind of going through this now. The color is typically blue. I've heard it called sky blue. I usually use indigo blue though. Some people will say purple. I don't really care if it's blue or purple. I usually consider the crown purple, but some people consider the crown gold. It could be either or, okay? It's not a big deal. The seed mantra is Om. I had it planned when you were coming in. We're going to be listening to it as we go through our practice. So anytime you're holding a pose in stillness, receive the sound, repeat it internally, and let the vibration reverberate in every cell of your body. Okay, is that all I want to say about the third eye for now? Yes, I think it is. I shared a whole different story in the last class, but I don't want to get into that now. All right, so we're gonna start with pranayama. I like to sit on top of the bolster for this. You don't have to. If you need your legs to be straight, you can just have your legs straight, your back against the wall. The first thing I want us to do is bring our hands to prayer position and join the thumbs to the top of the sternum. Sit up nice and tall. Close the eyes and gaze in and up to your mind's eye, as if you're looking off into the distance towards the horizon or towards the peak of a mountain. At first, you may see like a black screen. You may have speckles of light filtering through the lids that almost looks like static. But try to pinpoint your vision in this place and relax your eyes enough so that you can begin to use the realm of your imagination to envision a beautiful blue light. At the same time, you're gazing in and up in this direction, picturing the color of blue. Start some diaphragmatic breaths. And as you breathe in and out fully through the nose, notice the wave of the breath rolling up underneath your hands. And then notice as it cascades back down. Energy rising creates the in-breath. And downward energy creates the out-breath. Now we're going to place the left hand to the base of the skull. And I want you to place your right palm to your forehead. So I want you to imagine that your hand that's placed on your brow is like the northern pole of the third eye. And the left hand is like the southern pole of the third eye. It is said that the southern pole is more of the subconscious part of the brain, the more reactive, habitual side of the brain. The prefrontal lobe of the right hand is where we can have new insights and greater intuitive guidance. Move your middle finger of your back hand to the soft spot at the base of the skull, that little indentation. And then move one of the tips of your finger to the third eye, that space in between but slightly above the eyebrows. Imagine there's a beam of light moving down from the north to the south and from the south to the north, like a flashlight. And right at the center of this beam of light is a seed that represents the pineal gland. The gland that helps us to tap in to the spiritual realm. As you take deep breaths in and out through the nose, imagine that that seed is being nourished by the light. And it's growing into ripened fruit, like a lemon. Take 3 more breaths. So yoga, mindfulness, and meditation can stimulate the pineal gland. We're going to release the hands to relax the arms to the lap for a moment. And please recognize that fluoride is one of the things that can shrink and calcify the pineal gland. So keep meditating to override it. Now place the first two fingers of your right hand to the brow. You're going to allow your ring finger and thumb to hang down to the nostrils. We're going to do Nadi Shodhanam breath, a breathing meditation. This helps to balance the two hemispheres of the brain, the logical or analytical with the intuitive. Place your thumb to hold down the right nostril and breathe in through the left side of your nose only. At the top of the inhale, close the left nostril with the ring finger, float your thumb up, breathe out right. Keep that opening, breathe in right. Close the right nostril, lift your ring finger, breathe out left. Breathe in through the same opening to the left. Close it at the top and breathe out right. Breathe in right. Breathe out left. In left. This time, as you breathe out, lean to your right thigh and knee. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, breathe out and lean left. We're now adding in a physical mechanic with the breath. Inhale to the top. Exhale, lean and breathe out right. So I think you've learned the pattern. Continue this process. Please know that at any time of the day, one or the other nostril is more dominant with the breath. And it shows up when we have colds. You may notice you can breathe in for about 20 minutes on one side, the other side's blocked. And then it'll switch to the other. Prana means life force energy. So we're not just controlling the breath, we're manipulating the energy for our benefit. Now, the next time you lean and breathe out to the left, you can remove the mudra from the base, rise up to the top, taking a breath in through both sides of the nose, and pause. You were really focused on that breathing meditation. You should now notice that you're dropped in and more connected to your body, more centered in your heart, more clear in your mind. And if it's new for you, you may not have the experience, but with practice you will. Let's begin to open up the eyes. As we open up the eyes, move the bolster to the side. Bring your blocks and bolster a little closer to the wall. We're going to start with a wall push, which means we're standing on our feet. We're placing the hands in front of the chest, shoulder distance apart. We're going to step back with the feet so that we can create kind of a 90-degree angle with the body. So the upper body is parallel to the ground. Your head is bowed inside the upper arm bones and you're gazing straight down below your face. Your thighs are rolling in and powering back. Your belly is suctioning in. And this is a great way to modify downward facing dog if you ever need to. It doesn't give you the full inversion, but it can help to prevent vertigo. This is a good alternative if you're ever having to deal with glaucoma or like dental surgery. It would be better to be at this angle than completely upside down. 2 more breaths. Stretch back through your arms, out through your spine. Drill the feet down into the floor to engage those legs. Slowly begin to travel the feet forward toward the wall. You're going to turn so that your right side body is facing the wall. And your right arm is going to circle down, and you're going to flip your hand so the palm is turned to the wall. And you're about shoulder height. If that's too much for the shoulder, you can have it lower. Try not to lean into the wall. Roll the left shoulder back. Look down at your feet. Make sure your toes are in the same plane. Your chest is lifted. Your breath is really full. Stretching out the right arm, the shoulder, the connective tissue. And then to bring it into the third eye, you can either close your eyes and gaze into that reference point, or you can have your eyes open and set your drishti on one object so that it's fixated. One more breath. Take a cleansing breath to complete this pose. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, open the mouth, release the breath. Now close your lips, bring the tongue to the upper palate of the mouth. There is an acupressure point here for the pineal gland. You may notice sometimes in meditation, your tongue may naturally be drawn to that point. Exhale, release the arm. Ooh, that's a good stretch. All right, we're going to come a little closer to the wall so that the right hip touches and your right knee elevates. Don't elevate it too high, just in line with your hip. All right, we're going to track the right arm up the wall beside the ear. Good. Left arm in front of the chest, again to the wall. And we're going to do a twist. All right, so think of your hands as being like the hands of a clock. And what would this be? 9 o'clock? So take the left hand up to 12. Ooh. And slide the right hand back to 3. And you may need to look directly at the wall. You might have enough range in your neck to face your right hand. Feels good, doesn't it? Yeah. I remember when I was a flight attendant and I learned this pose, I would sneak back in the galley when nobody was there and do it. Inhale, bring the right arm up. Exhale, bring the arms back down and lower the right knee. All right, we're going to spin the body. Now, you don't want to be glued to the wall for this one. Remember, this is just the arm stretch. So bring the left arm down beside your hip, turn the palm to face the wall, bring it to the wall, and then slide it up about shoulder height. Around that proximity. Each one of us has a different truth. Each one of us has different experiences or injuries in the body. So respect and honor your limitation, please. Look down at your feet, root them down. Lift your knees, lift your navel, lift your heart and crown. Maintain this good posture and fixate your eyes or close the eyes. notice if there's more or less tension held or stored here in the body versus the previous side. This is how we get to know ourselves better. This is how we notice how life is showing up inside of us. It also gives us clues on what still needs to be healed if you really study and apply this energetic anatomy. So even the third eye allows us to see the relevance of symbols and synchronicities, dreams and fantasies. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Release it through the mouth. Once you loosen the jaw, close the lips. Tongue to the upper palate. Relax the left arm down. Close into the wall. Left hip touches. Left knee lifts. So that whole left leg will stay in contact to the wall. All right, put the landing line from your right hip down through your leg to the sole of the foot and take the left arm up alongside your ear. Right arm in front of you, palm touches. All right, now we're at 3 o'clock. Inhale, lift the right arm. Exhale, slide your left hand back to 9. You can face the wall or you can gaze towards your left hand with the hostadrishti. Make sure you're not twisting to the degree that restricts your breath. The breath brings the magic in. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, you can slowly release. All right, we're going to turn to face the center of the room next. Your heel should not touch the wall, but be slightly ahead of the wall because we're going to hinge forward from the hips. So let me show you first. We're going to be doing Uttanasana. So you may need to be here, right? You may enjoy being here, okay? You may enjoy just flopping and not using any props at all. Okay, so you can use all these tools that are available. So don't walk the feet too far forward, just enough so that when you hinge, your buttocks will touch the wall. Okay, because we're using the wall as part of our assistance here. Take your hands into that hip crease. Keep the vertebrae nice and extended as you forward fold. And then use whatever props you want to come down or to stack onto the brow. You might be able to stack the 2 blocks like this and let your head take rest. So there's many options. You don't have to necessarily take it to your full range of flexibility. We're going to be here for a little bit. So if you need to back up, if it becomes too intense, give yourself permission to do so. If you find that your body starts to conform and mold into this, and there's less tension, feel free to go a little deeper. So I say all the time in classes, forward folds and inversions can be calming to the mind. And so if we're talking about the third eye, the postures that are really relative for this are things like forward folds and inversions. Think about the angle of the body and how we're using gravity to bring the energy currents to this region, towards the face. Feel free to close the eyes and picture blue or listen to the chant playing from the stereo.
We were talking about that Nadi Shodanam breath being great for equilibrium. So thinking about third eye and how patterns show up, I noticed a pattern in my body a few years ago. And that pattern was that I always leaned left. When I'm driving, sitting on the couch, even when I'm standing and brushing my teeth. And then I started to notice it in poses like this. So even though you're standing on your two legs and feet, notice you have the tendency to lean your weight more into one side or the other. And if you've already noticed that pattern, see if you can make a new choice. Make the weight evenly distributed. And affirm nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back from trusting and following my intuitive guidance. Inhaling and slowly start to come out of that pose. Okay, so what I want you to do is bring your hands to the floor or bring the blocks underneath your hands. And we're going to use the blocks like crutches to step forward and to casually lower to the knees. Hopefully you got thick blocks because the thin ones can be wobbly. All right. Once you lose the blocks, we're going to sit back on the heels. Bodies are more or less knit together, arms wrapped around the body, and we're going to drape down to the brow. We're going to penetrate the third eye by resting the weight of the head on the sticky mat. And now remember where we had our hands before, one at the base of the skull, one at the forehead. I want you to imagine that a beautiful beam of light is coming down through that soft spot, traveling through the pineal gland at the center of your head to this point where you're resting on your face. I heard a few years ago that the divine feminine is often represented by the same color of blue. But you can also picture it to be gold, because that's a very spiritual essence. Or you can picture it being a pure white healing light. So we've already done a couple poses ideal for the third eye. Uttanasana, and this is child's pose. Downward facing dog and dolphin are also great ones. So on your next inhalation, let's stretch the arms forward and out. Let's rock up to hands and knees. Let's curl the toes under, make sure you're not too close to the wall so that you can back up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog position. Your hands are shoulder distance apart, gripping the floor and slightly dialing away from each other. That's the effort put into the hands. Your shoulders roll away from your ears. Your neck is neutral. You're lengthening up through your side body, creating space between each vertebra. Pressing your thighs towards the wall behind you. Taking deep breaths in and out through the nose. Feel the angle of this pose. And everything angling down towards the brow. But at the same time, the ascension of energy is moving up into your seat. On your exhalation, come down to your knees. Bring yourself down so that your feet are extending back towards the wall. And your forearms are down like Sphinx. Elbows aligned underneath the head of the shoulder bones, fingers slayed open, legs lengthening back, 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 back.
feet glued to the floor, belly picks up, heart shines forward, and close your eyes and gaze into the mind's eye. Let the tongue come to the upper palate of the mouth. So even though this is kind of a dominant heart chakra pose, last week we worked on working with the neck to bring it up into the throat center. And here you can activate it towards the third eye with where you're placing your concentration. Some of the traumas that can really block or affect the third eye is anyone that has lived through some type of war scene, or anyone that has been shut down when they've talked about their intuition or psychic abilities. They are questioned or mocked, ridiculed. Exhale, relax the buttocks, and you're going to link your hands together by lacing them up and gluing your palms shut. Shift back into your hips, crawl the knees forward a little bit, and look at your elbows. Make sure they're not excessively wide, meaning no wider than your shoulders, okay? We're gonna move into Dolphin, very similar to down dog. So curl the toes under, you're lifting your knees, elevating your hips, pushing back away from your hands. This is a lot of work for the triceps and the deltoid muscles in the outer shoulders. Use your core, use your feet and your thighs to stay lifted. Keep your head off the ground. Take one more deep breath. Exhale, spill down to your knees. Untuck the toes. Lean back into your hips, but separate your hands wide. So you're in extended child's pose. You're going to keep the head up, and you're going to walk your hands over to the right side. We will not be mirroring you guys. Once you walk to the right, you're going to gently drape the head back down. Now, in this side bend, don't force your head to the floor, okay? Just let it hang naturally. Breathe into your left side body. Breathe into that left lung. Work out any stress or tension that may be stored in this region. Just using our pranayama techniques can help to clear the mind. And when we clear the debris and the clutter from the mind, we can see more clearly. So the counter forces of the third eye are things like illusion, delusion, and confusion. Inhale, gently lift up. Walk your hands back across the mat, over to the left side, and then gently release the head. Again, it doesn't have to touch down. It's in that general direction. Breathe into your right side body. Open up those side ribs. Clear out the fog from your mind. Clear away any fear from your system. And let love and light enter. Let love and light rule. I just said insight. I meant to say inhale, gently, come up. Hold your hands to the mat. Rock forward. And then we're gonna kind of crawl, we're not gonna crawl back all the way. Crawl back to the point where your toes almost touch the wall, but not quite. Okay, almost, but not quite, maybe a couple of inches away. All right, now look at your knees. Are they stacked underneath your hips? If they're more under your belly, crawl forward with your hands. You want the knees below or behind the hips and the hands underneath. Your shoulders are slightly beyond, okay? We're gonna work, just look at me for a moment. I'll show you what we're gonna do. We're gonna launch into downward facing dog, and then we're gonna lift one foot, the toes shine down, so the hip stays square, okay? So when you're ready, take downward facing dog first, and make sure, again, your feet do not touch the baseboard. If they touch the baseboard, you're too close, crawl it forward. All right, we're gonna use the wall as our friend, as our helpful guide today, because we're gonna keep the sacrum even. So when you're ready, lift your right foot, curl the toes under, push the ball of the foot into the wall. The heel is jutting up towards the sky. The hips are square. The sacrum is even and level. Remember to take deep breaths. Tilt this foot down. That's it. Good. All right, now bring the right foot down and lower your knees. If you need child's pose for a moment, feel free to take it. Now we'll just take the weight off your wrist a moment. We'll bring you back to the third eye. Keep trying to use your imagination to envision the blue light. And if any other color comes up, hold on to that. It may be revealing to you a chakra that needs to be worked with more. So if yellow or orange or red pops up, go back to those chakras and see if there's a lesson for you there. Or ask me after class. All right, inhale, rock up hands and knees. Exhale, we're taking it to the other side. Launch into Adho Mukha Svanasana. When you're ready, pick up the left foot. You are lengthening the leg. And then Patty, roll your left hip down a little bit more. Okay, now drop the head. Yes, that's better. So you're pushing away from your hands. Your chest is pressing back towards the wall. Good, take one more deep breath. And then exhale, bring the left foot down, bring the knees down. And come for a moment to sit. All right. Flip your hands open on your left. How many stories have you heard or read? I know I've read a lot. I've also personally experienced a few, where young children can see and perceive things that you as an adult can't. It's probably happened to all of us if you've been around children long enough. And yet so often, we shut what they're saying down. They are actually more intuitive than what we give them credit for. They are more tapped into the other realm more than we give them credit for. I remember at a young age working with someone who had recently become a grandmother, and she had lost her husband. And he had died during their daughter's pregnancy. And she was sad because her husband wasn't able to meet the grandchild. She babysat the baby a lot. And every time that she would check in on the baby when the baby was waking up, she'd have her hands up like this. but nobody was there. It was like she was calling to be held. As the grandchild got a little older, it would take the picture of her past husband and would walk around with it and sing to it and talk to it. And she realized the spirit of her husband was there and the baby was sensing it. I had moved into a house when my son was 2 and 3 years old, and he picked up on a couple things from the house. I believed him. I talked to him about it. I helped to clear the energy. Had no proof of it until I was moving out of the house, and the neighbor said, "Hey, come on over here. Has anyone told you about the history of the house you're in? Did anyone tell you that their teenage daughter had been there and had a baby and the baby had died?" "No, but my son kept seeing a baby with pink wings flying above him at night." I believed him. Then she said, "Did you know that the father, who was very authoritarian over his daughter, died in the house 6 months later of a heart attack?" "No, but my son and I picked up on things. His musical instruments would play in the nursery when we were on the other end of the house. The door would open and close to the bedroom. We noticed that the previous owner had put St. Francis outside underneath the window of the bedroom in a hideaway place. We noticed that my son woke up scared one day and saw a man standing in the doorway, and we had to talk to the gentleman to tell him to go away." Children pick up on energy. Don't distrust the children when they're talking to you. That can limit the third eye and the perception that we are capable of perceiving. We all have the ability. We're going to do a final pose, but the last thing I want to say is I've been doing Reiki Master Training with Allison. And we met last week and we had an exercise, and anybody can do this exercise. You don't have to be a Reiki person. We sat with each other with our hands on each other's shoulders, and we were just breathing with them. Of course, we were doing Reiki, but you don't have to do Reiki because it's all about energy. And we were just clearing the mind, dropping into a state of meditation to see what we picked up on. Certain people can pick up on smell, certain people inner knowings, just information. Certain people will hear things, certain affirmations or little pieces of information, or you can see a vision of something. And then you start to communicate about it, and then it all comes together and makes sense. Every single one of us has that ability. And we can hone in and we can really help to activate our intuition more. And we really need it now more than ever, considering the state of the world. It's our inner GPS system, and it never steers us wrong. Okay, so we're gonna do our final pose, and I'm gonna show you 2 options because I like options, and I think people should have choices. So one option is to be here, legs up the wall. If you've never done that before, you lie down on your side, close to the edge of the mat, close to the wall, and then you just roll back. Now, the other option, we have not done this, at least in my classes since the last studio, okay? But waterfall with the bolster is you bring the feet down, you tuck and lift, you bring the bolster under the body, and then you send the legs up like this. So you have an option to do flat on your back, legs at the wall, or bend the knees, tuck and lift to bring the bolster below the back and the legs up. I'm going to dim the lights to help you to relax.
Get settled in as much as possible. Allow this Shavasana to be as focused as the ones you've had in your past. It's the inner focus that works like a flashlight to illuminate what you need to see. Ascending to the sixth chakra opens us up to new realms. The expansion here can radically shift our perspective of situations and relationships and can bring profound insight and vision. It can offer a broader perspective, new levels of awareness, and allows us to stimulate our creativity. It can help us to perceive our patterns, our purpose, and our place with them. And it can help us to see and understand the dance of divinity and consciousness that we'll be talking about next week. For the next few minutes, relax and renew your mind and body. Listen to the mantra of Om and allow this to stimulate the pineal gland.
Great. Sound, the bell. That is your cue. Open up your breathing. Slide the feet down the wall. Push the feet into the wall so that you can elevate away from the prop. Pull it out from underneath. Go back to your sacrum. Roll to one side of your body. Acclimate there first. And then I want you to do one of two things. Either decide if you want to have your back against the wall with your legs straight, or if you want to sit cross-legged propped up on a bolster. One or the other. You'll flip your hands open on your lap. And the ring finger, or not the, yes, the ring finger is going to come to the thumb. This is a hand mudra for health and intuition. You're going to sit up nice and tall, close the eyes. So Wednesday, we're going to go a different direction with this, and we're going to end with the shamanic journey, which is a vision quest. Today, we're ending with the mantra of Om and the mudra. We're going to chant Om as well. Take a deep breath in. Om is the root word for amen. It means so it is, let it be so. And joining your hands back together to prayer position at your heart. The light and the love within me honors and respectfully bows to the love and light within each of you. May our eyes be single so that our whole body shall be filled with light.